And hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here on 20 Sides to Every Story. A little bit different game that we've got prepared, a word that I use very loosely for you tonight. We're going to be playing Worldwide Wrestling, which is a powered by the Apocalypse game system. So I know that we've had some people interested in powered by the Apocalypse type games before, and so I guess here's your chance to see us sort of fumble through this one. Now, normally I don't really like running or playing games that I have not been a player in myself, but we're making the exception here tonight because it's wrestling themed, and I don't know how I'm going to find to run this game for me that I will learn it. So we're going to do it live and kind of fumble through it. So if this is your first time checking us out, we do encourage you to come and join us in our Discord server. We run a lot of different types of games. We primarily, for the most part, play Dungeons and Dragons, but we do on occasion have other game systems that we'll dabble in. We do a lot of old school tabletop gaming, and we've done things like this, some of the more narrative focused game systems. So come join us there. We do a lot of the recruitment for a lot of the games that we play here on stream directly from our Discord. So I guess maybe this is like kind of like a different thing. This is a little bit of a session zero, so we're creating characters. So we don't have predefined characters necessarily fully fleshed out. Maybe some more than others, but maybe we'll go around and just kind of like introduce ourselves at the start here, just in case we happen to have any folks that aren't regular 20 Sides people that are watching. So I'll start. I'm Alex. I am the owner of 20 Sides to Every Story, and I have been doing this now. We're just about to celebrate our 6th year anniversary.
Holy shit.
Which is pretty crazy. So we've been doing this for a while. Some of my favorite things to play are just... right now, my favorite thing that we're doing on the channel is Old School Essentials. We're doing a Dolmenwood campaign. So I like a lot of the old school stuff. I didn't really become familiar with narrative-focused TTRPGs until maybe just... I think it was like 2018 or 2019. I went to the Origins Game Fair, and that is where I first played Dream Chaser RPG with Pete Petrushka, who we've had on the channel a few times. That was the first one I ever played, and it kind of opened me up to like this whole other world of games. Very, very unlike D&D, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really set that up really with a great prompt or anything, but really kind of whatever you want to say about yourself and introduce yourself to anybody that might be watching. Why don't we move over to maybe Isaac next?
Hello, I'm Isaac. I just actually had a 37-month anniversary. Wow. I remember when I was new. I guess maybe not anymore.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long since your first game. But
I know.
I guess it has been.
Crazy. But yeah. I joined the group when I saw a live play on YouTube and of Descendant to Avernus, and I decided to join the Discord, and here I am now. I've played a narrative-based game. I guess the only one we really done is Fiasco, and that is actually in person. We kind of met together near Gamehole Con, and we ended up playing a game of that, and that was a lot of fun. Kind of loose end ended a bit. I think you've ran a few kind of like kids on... I think we did like a kids on broom session in the middle of a community campaign. That was fun.
Yes.
But as far as that, I'm really looking forward to this. As far as wrestling, Alex got me into that. I used to watch it when I was a kid, but he would always talk about when, we're on Discord and chatting all the time. He always would say, "Oh, I'm watching this or that," and he would always keep on talking about, especially AEW. So I was familiar with like WWF back when it was WWF, but it had been so long. And then we started watching AEW, and it's like almost like a soap opera where it's on and you get hooked whether you want to or not. And it's just so much fun. It's like a real life soap opera with real time that's happening. So you get invested in the stories and you start gaining a lot of respect for what's going on. And ever since then, I've been hooked. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Let's go next to Joe.
All right. So yeah, I'm Joe T. Been around on 20 Sides for a while. Did a couple of campaigns with Alex in person before the pandemic, while the channel was getting rolling. I just saw my 47th month anniversary. Yeah, which I think equates to roughly, yeah, right. Which I don't know if I understand Twitch, but maybe someone can teach me later. But it's been yeah, a lot of that stuff, and then also doing Tragic Sides, where we play some sometimes scary, sometimes not video games. Now on Mondays on the 20 Sides gaming channel. Taking a break from that for just a little bit to do this here thing. Watched wrestling back in the day, Attitude Era especially. Took a break around college and a couple of years after, and then when Alex and I started hanging out again, we started watching wrestling again. So been kind of poking in here and there, and enjoy going to shows with Alex and Dawson when AEW comes around to Milwaukee, or sure if WWE comes around, we might investigate that as well. But yeah, big fan, enjoy it. I think that's, yes, that is me. Hello.
Awesome. Thank you. And let's go over to our rules master, Dawson.
Oh, you say that now, but it's gonna go all downhill from there. Hi, I'm Dawson. I've been on 20 Sides a few times. Only been here for, I don't know, a couple months or something like that. At least, I don't know.
Sounds right.
I'll just, at least 6. We'll just say 6 for now. I guess in terms for what I have experienced kind of with like narrative style of games is not a whole lot, where it's just mostly based on improvisation, just going with it. Don't really have that much experience in it. I'm kind of more new to RPGs as a general term. Only started, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago was when I started playing tabletop games. And then as for wrestling, I mean, the only reason why I got into wrestling, because I went to a friend's house who had a little wrestling video game for the PlayStation 2, and that was the most fun I've ever had playing any game. Played that thing into the ground. Then I started watching wrestling a little bit after that. Thing fell out of it, and then for some reason Alex was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start watching wrestling. You want to watch it?" I was like, "That sounds fun," and now I'm hooked.
And where are you now? Like you're watching Attitude Era stuff, right? What thread are you watching now?
Oh boy, what was the last thing?
We haven't quite gotten to WrestleMania 16, I believe.
Okay.
I think we're late 99, middle late 99 after
Yeah,
SummerSlam?
like Jericho has debuted at this point. China's sort of wrestling the boys a little bit. I think Stone Cold maybe just dropped the title to Triple H.
Okay.
But it's before like the Stephanie stuff.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have thought that would have happened already.
No, we haven't quite hit it's like coming, it's like right around the corner is when it'll happen.
Man. You're in for it, Daw. It's going to be great.
Yes.
And horrible. And great. And horrible.
Yeah, a lot of it doesn't hold up. Especially after we've been spoiled with watching like AEW and stuff like that. Like the quality of matches and stuff is way better now, with the exception of a few notable like main events and whatever. But yeah,
there aren't 2 run-ins during Attitude Era. It's a shit match, you know.
Pretty much. Everything's overbooked and kind of a mess. Which I'm sure will not happen at all in any of the stuff that we do over the course of the next few weeks. So,
did you get some tips from Vince Russo? Did you give him a call?
See what's up? You know, the general manager that you guys are going to have to deal with is probably about on Vince Russo's like level,
Okay.
just how her brain works. So
Excellent.
we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, so we're going to play Worldwide Wrestling, which basically each of these will look like an episode of a televised pro wrestling promotion. Ours happens to be called Wrestling, or what did I call it? Wrestle for the Future? Or Wrestle to Fame. Wrestle to Fame.
Wrestle to fame.
The WTF promotion. So I'm going to be, you guys are going to be controlling kind of the creative, or the wrestling talent, and then I will be in the role of creative, which is sort of like the game master, I guess. I don't have a whole, pretty much my role is to set up the show and book the show and select. You might be kind of wondering after I say this, like, what the hell is the game? But I predetermine like who wins the matches for the most part. There are some things that you might be able to do to swerve those outcomes sometimes, but the game is not necessarily about the power level of your character and how good they are as a wrestler, or them necessarily being the best wrestler. It's more about if you make your matches look good and you win over the audience. That's more important than you winning all of your matches. So it kind of works from the same kind of psychology that you might look at a wrestling show. You know, Daniel Bryan, when he was in WWF, had a pretty forgettable championship reign of maybe like a month or two, but everybody remembers the rise to that. And he didn't win all those matches like leading up to that. It was more about the heart and the people being behind him, and it's kind of more about that. Or conversely, if you're playing a heel character, you know, you want to be remembered as, you know, I don't know, who's like the most notable heel? Maybe Ric Flair? Like, you want to have like Ric Flair heat and have people like really boo you, or whatever the case might be with that. Jeff Jarrett. I don't know. Maybe.
Good pull. Yeah. Nah, that's
I hate
not
him.
wrong. Yeah.
He's doing a good job right now. He's got the right kind of heat right now, I think.
Don Callis.
Just garbage heap.
Yeah. So you're each going to play a wrestler represented by a gimmick. Those are the sheets that I gave you before we sat down to play here. And in a little bit here, we're going to go through and kind of help you each develop your individual character, and then maybe set up and try to understand. We'll be like basically answering through some sort of relationship questions between your characters, find out who has maybe an intense rivalry or heat with each other. Heat is sort of used maybe a little bit differently in the context of this game. It's not necessarily adversarial all the time. It might be like you might have heat with your tag team partner. It just means like you've got that energy, like the audience like reacts to your interactions together. So generally you want to have a high heat score with whoever you're facing in a match or whoever you're interacting with. That's always good. Anyway, I think before we like get into like creating the characters, I'm going to just maybe explain some of the key terminology, and we'll revisit some of these terms as we're creating characters and playing the game, but just to kind of set up maybe the very basic idea of what some of these things mean. So basically, for the most part in the game, it's very narrative in that you have a lot of creativity to kind of set up and describe what your character is saying in a promo, or describe the actions that your character is taking outside of the ring, or if you're in a wrestling match, what it looks like setting up moves and what the in-ring action looks like. But despite the things that you are saying, at the end of the day, you're going to set up what is called a move, which isn't necessarily a wrestling move. It could relate to wrestling moves in the ring, but moves describe maybe certain specific types of actions that you're taking within the game that are going to get resolved with a die roll. So for example, cutting a promo, you'll cut your promo, but you would do some kind of a roll at the end of that to see how well does it go over and what the end result may be. And so all of the die rolls are going to be 2d6, and then they'll have modifiers on them, which generally come from either your ability scores. There's 4 of them. We'll talk about those in just a second. You could get bonuses from maybe the heat that you have with an individual. And you could also burn momentum that you collect throughout the game to get bonuses to that die roll as well. So the 4 basic stats that you all have on your character sheets are body, look, real, and work. So in very general terms, body would be making a roll that has anything to do with your physical prowess, maybe a feat of strength, doing just a body press or a lift of somebody to show that you're able to do that could impress the crowd and have some kind of result depending on the move that you're making. Look might be, it might have something to do with like your apparel, something flashy you do. It could be you cutting a promo and you giving it some pizzazz. Typically has a lot to do with kind of your audience appeal. The stat real is sort of related to anything that you do that breaks kayfabe, or we all know what that term kayfabe, that kind of the divide from the perception of wrestling as a real term and what's a real feud between 2 people versus a scripted feud, for example. So maybe your character goes on some kind of podcast or something and starts dropping some nonsense about another character, and it might be a real beef or a real grievance that you're airing that helps to heat up your rivalry or something like that. And then work is the stat that has to do with wrestling techniques, the ability to make wrestling seem real or really wow the audience with maybe like a cool move, or selling an injury would be typically like a work. I don't know. Anything that gets Chris Jones really angry is probably a work role.
I was trying to add him too.
Chris Jones loved wrestling.
Yeah.
Super fan.
He's coming around. He's coming around.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So those are your 4 basic stats there. Other numbers or areas on your sheet that you have for keeping track of things. Some of these I'll be keeping track on screen too to help the audience, in so much as they understand what we're doing here. Let them track kind of what's going on with your characters. So, and thank you so much for the cheer. That's from my dear old dad. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Big wrestling fan, Cliff Karowski.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. So
much that he goes out and buys his son wrestling DVDs and VHS.
That's right. Only for Christmas, and only the very specific ones that I ask him for.
Yeah, by title.
Still does it. So other things that you want generally, like probably the big one that you want to accumulate, and it won't necessarily all be in this session, but your audience score is probably like kind of the end goal. Like you want to have a high audience score. Up to the point of getting the top spot is like the best thing. So typically your audience score ranges from 0 to 4, and then there's sort of like a 5, I guess, which would be earning the top spot. And you have a way of tracking that on your character sheet. You don't want to end an episode with 0 audience. If you end an episode with 0 audience, you are fired, and you got to create a new guy or a new character.
Do we get to hear you say,
"You're fired"?
Okay, good.
But getting the top spot will often give you advances, which can kind of promote your character or give them extra benefits in future episodes, up to and including like the ability to demand a championship match or add gimmicks to matches, or generally basically change up my script is what you can often do with the top spot.
Oh.
So we're not
Is
gonna.
there only ever one person at 5? Like, is that?
We'll deal with that if we ever get to that point. There can be 2 people in the top spot. Like it can be a thing that is shared, but generally you're losing audience enough that there probably isn't one. But we'll see what happens with that. Sure. So the other thing that your audience score helps you with is in gaining momentum. And momentum is kind of a currency in the game that you can use to. Sometimes you need it for certain moves that you might pull. If you look at your reference sheet, which you don't have to do a deep dive on it, but you'll notice throughout there that sometimes it'll say spend 1 momentum and make such and such roll. So it's sort of a currency in that way. You can also spend momentum on a 1-to-1 basis to give your die roll plus. So you could say, and you could do it after you've seen the result. So like, you roll a look check, you roll it, and it's only a 3. That would be a failure. Maybe you've got 4 momentum sitting in the pot, and you want to give that roll plus 4. You could burn 4 momentum to do that. And just so you understand, like, the difficulty check range, it doesn't really change. It's always the same numbers. Anything that's a 1 to a 6 is a botch or a failure, and so there'll be a consequence. Often it's listed on the move that you're trying to do what the consequence is, but I can always impose other penalties or other swerves, whatever that is. Anything that's a 7 to a 9 is a success, but it's going to have a complication or a swerve to it. And anything that's a 10 or above is it's a hard success. Usually your move tells you like what that is. And to clear a match, you would have to do a wrestling move, and it would have to be a 10 or higher to like clear the match and win. So that's the general scale of difficulty. 1 to 6 is always a failure. 7 to 9, mid-range success, and then 10 or higher is a hard success. And then heat. You'll have heat with various. Between the 3 of you, you'll have heat with other characters. You can also have heat with non-player wrestlers as well. And so heat ends up being a bonus that occasionally you'll apply to certain roles that you make in dealing with that person. So if Joe T, you've got your character has 2 heat with Isaac's character, and you do a wrestling move together, you're going to be able to add a +2 then to that move.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's good.
So yeah, you want to be in matches and in interactions with people that you have heat with to the best of your ability. Best of your ability to orchestrate those things. Probably not a whole lot you can do in the first episode to make things happen, but we'll see. I think those are for the most part the most basic terminology that we need to move into things, right? So I think we will start by just want to see. I think I heard a little noise come through. There was a reroll that got redeemed, and we also got a follow. Thank you so much for the follow, DeBeardy. Appreciate that. And yeah, Darth Revan redeemed a player reroll. So I don't really do a thing on the screen for that, so I'll just try to keep track of it by hand and say, just like any of our other games, we've got a pool of rerolls, and so appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, so I think the first thing we'll start maybe by going around and just kind of figuring out which archetype. So just for the audience's sake, there's a whole PDF of multiple archetypes that kind of comprise maybe all of the wrestling tropes, the most basic, anti-hero characters, face characters, you name it, all these different types. And so hopefully our characters or our players here have picked one each, and so we'll just go around. Maybe tell us what your gimmick is, and if you know it already, tell us where they hail from and what their entrance, maybe, like, just give us like the rundown on like what their presentation kind of looks like. And so I know Isaac probably has this all figured out already, so like we'll start with him.
Okay, so my gimmick is going to be the veteran. So
Okay.
the veteran is an established name. You work every night. I guess I could just give that quick little thing. Work every night, whether to help the new blood or keep lock on your position, and you have a dedicated fan base. You're ready to create an enduring legacy. So my character's name is Pikeman Frugal Dougal. He is a pikeman set in...
Oh, weird.
How weird, huh? Set in Elizabethan time. He carries it out. He carries a pike out, and he comes out to the song Greensleeves, but it's like a punk version of it. And his like signature move, he hails from London, England, and his major gimmick is that he was actually transported to the present mysteriously.
He's a time
And
traveler.
he's stuck in so his manner of speak is still stuck in that Shakespearean time.
How much does he weigh? What's his ring weight?
Pikeman Frugal Dougal. His weight is, I guess that's something that we could do. We're gonna say 230.
230.
Yeah.
Height? Build height?
I would say that he's lanky and a bit tall. I mean, secretly he was a history. He had a history major.
Weird.
So he was all about that. So, yeah, he's lanky and long. We're gonna say like maybe 6'1", 6'2".
Sounds good. Yes, and so we'll get to like the whole promotion and everything. Like these guys kind of know it a little bit already, but basically this wrestling promotion was started with an arts grant at a university. And so a lot of the wrestlers are either current students of the university or alumni that have graduated and still wrestle as their night gig. At least to start out, that is the starting point. So, all right, cool. So that is Isaac playing Pikeman Frugal Dougal.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Do I have to give anything else out to him? Signature move?
Let's see. Sure. Yeah, if you got that figured out already.
I guess the signature move, like his move, is that he calls it a charge. I don't know. Let's call it like maybe like advance, and he'll lift the pike. He'll lift like someone up in a straight thing, and he'll kind of like side tombstone them onto their neck.
Oh shit!
And drop it. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He just kind of lets them drop.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
yeah. And they have to they're standing straight up like that. Yeah.
Wowie kazowie. There's no way that will.
Yeah, the
go
London
down.
broil. I like that. We're gonna call that the London broil.
The London
Everybody,
broil.
everybody wants to work with Frugal Dougal.
The thing is, you have to tuck your neck.
Yeah, it's their fault. They're breaking their necks. They're just not taking the move right.
Breaking
You
necks
want
and
me to-
cashing checks.
You want me to do what?
All right.
roll. Tuck your neck.
So, I guess to go along with that, you get your 4 stats there, and so I think on your sheet it tells you kind of what the starting point for those are,
Mm-hmm.
and then how you can adjust them. So, what is your What do your opening stats look like?
My opening stats, body, is a -1. He's been at this for a bit. Maybe a super senior. He's been there for a while or whatnot. As far as the look, he is a 0. Real, obviously it's a -1. Because I don't think there's any breaking kayfabe with this guy. And his wrestling, his work is a 1, a +1.
Awesome. Babyface or heel?
I'm gonna say he's a babyface.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
2 questions, actually. So one on the stats. So we start with 0 body, 0 look, -1 real, -1 work, and then we add +1 to one stat of your choice.
Oh,
Does
do
that
we?
mean one of the stats becomes a +1, or does that mean that we?
You add +1 to that skill. So if it's a 0, it's now a +1. If it's a -1, it's now a 0.
Oh, I'm
'Cause
sorry.
Those are all class
that-
dependent. Those are all your gimmick dependent stuff.
In that case, let's make it work at 2 then. I did not read that part. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, the work of 2?
So it's a 0-sum thing. You all have different starting points.
Oh
Mhm.
shit! I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't
Yep.
know they were all different. I'm sorry. My bad.
Either
Spoilers.
way, let's make that for mine. It would be a +2 for work then.
Okay,
Nice.
that sounds
Even
good. Yeah. So let's just we'll come back to you. Let's go over to Joe here next.
Okay, cool. So making his way to the ring, weighing in at 192 pounds, 6'4", hailing from Munster, Indiana. Munster like the show, not the cheese. Grimes. Grimes is hardcore. Not the best in the ring, nor the best looking, but knows how to get a pop through naked aggression and rampant bloodshed. Some in the business look down on you, but you know what? He's a legend for making his own diehard fans, and how long can that fact be ignored? Grimes has a raucous and aggressive entrance in which he has a field hockey lacrosse stick. So Grimes started out playing field hockey because he wanted to get his aggression out, but he was too violent. He got kicked out of every single field hockey team that he ever tried out for. And he used to start out like all preppy. He's got really rich parents, generational wealth, and just with the establishment keeping him down, he's now fighting against it. And has now become a satanic field hockey player, in which he comes in with the typical white preppy sweater and khaki shorts. Think Mean Street Posse meets The Brood kind of look. So now he is channeling Satan and scoring goals. The finisher is called the Nutmeg, and it is reminiscent of the Michinoku Driver. But whenever possible, he does it on top of a bed of thumbtacks. So
We just had the anniversary of Hell in the Cell, so this is
there you go. Snap.
this is sounding kind of like a cross between Triple H and Mick Foley.
Yeah,
the
a little bit.
background.
Yeah.
It's like they both got into
little
that
bit like
one
that.
Hell in a Cell match, and then they just came out as one entity and started playing hockey
Yeah.
and worshiping Satan.
And worship. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
So, what do you got for stats?
Yeah. So I've got 0 body. I've got 0 look, but I'm going to make that a 1. So that's going to be my bonus one. And then I've got -1 for real and -1 for work.
Okay. Heel
Now,
or babyface?
Yeah. So is this I'm trying to think of how to word this. Is it the intended heel or face, or is it the how the crowd reacts You know what I mean? Like, is it the more
I would say
traditional thought of
it
heel
is
or
what
face?
it is what you're trying to portray, because like for sure, like the crowd, like if the crowd, if you're losing audience, it might be because like you're really not living up to the role that you're supposed to be playing, or you know, it could be how we narrate like bad results, right?
Okay, heel then.
Okay. All right, and let's go over to Dawson's character.
Oh boy. Making their way to the ring, hailing from the great city of Tombstone, Arizona, comes down the Ranger, Tom Kendall. He's 5'8", probably 180 pound. Have more of a built guy. He's comes from wrestling in the sense of the traditional sense. He's been wrestling ever since he was a kid, and even up to college. Continued to wrestle, made the team, and he's playing as a technician. So whether you're an amateur sensation or a workhorse in the minor leagues, you have all the skills. Your wrestling ability stands out, but you're continually fighting the assumption you only have one dimension to you. Do you? He pretty much does, because he is super shy.
Oh,
But,
oh no.
but boy, he knows how to sell everything. His main gimmick is the Grand from Hotel is the Ranger. He's a wandering bounty hunter looking to take out the competition that's all in his wake. And if you're on his list, it's gonna be a mighty bad day for you.
So, where does he hail from?
Tombstone, Arizona.
Tombstone, Arizona. Height and weight?
5'8", 180. So he's a pretty stacked small guy.
All right. And is this a heel or a face?
I'm afraid to tell you, I ain't one of the good guys. He's a heel.
Black hat.
He's got the black hat.
All right. Oh, and stats.
He has a body of 0. And oh boy, that shyness sure comes out because he's got a -2 to look.
Ooh.
He's got a reel of -1 as well. I mean, character is all he's got. And currently has a work +3.
Wow. That is a min-max if I've ever heard one.
It sure was. I scrolled ahead a little bit and just took care of that stuff.
Rules.
Rules.
All right. So those are our player wrestlers. You'll all have heat with each other. Heat representing how entertaining and compelling your relationship is, either positive or negative. Like I said earlier, you can have heat with your tag team partner. You can also have it with a rival. It's just it's the way to quantify kind of that electricity that you have in the ring or in segments that you have together. The way that we're going to generate that is through some wrestler some questions. You all have specific questions on your sheet that you will in turn respond to. I think we'll hold off on those for just a second, and maybe we'll move over to the wants section first, because maybe that'll inform some of the heat. So you can see that you have a section off to the right on your sheet that says wants, and that's the desire that most drives you. You can change your want whenever you want. It doesn't have to be a static thing. It might evolve over time, and you might decide, I'm no longer looking to go after the championship. I want to start a faction instead. You can always do that. But when you wrestle a match and you get your want out of it, or something happens that you achieve your want, that gets you an advance. And advances are, I guess, sort of like there isn't really like a level up system, but advances kind of give you stuff that'll carry over, help you either get to the top spot. You can use it to gain audience. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You can bank your advances at the end of an episode to carry over to the next episode. So take a moment and look at that list and decide for yourself what want you would like to have. And maybe we'll go reverse. No, we'll start in the middle. I think we'll make you go first on this to tell us what your characters want.
Yeah, this was an easy one. Grimes wants to raise the bar for violence. Grimes is an adrenaline junkie, and the only thing that satiates his thirst for that adrenaline currently is violence, and that's either against him or dealt out by him, and he doesn't care which happens.
Awesome. Let's go over to Isaac next.
I think Pikeman Frugal Dougal. He wants to cement his legacy.
Awesome. And how about Dawson, what was your character's name? Maybe I missed it.
The Ranger Tom Kendall.
The Ranger Tom Kendall. What is his want?
The most thing he would want right now is at least someone to cheer him on. He likes some adulation from the crowd. I mean, he can do the stuff, but do people really care? He sure hopes so.
All right. So your want typically is something that you're trying to work towards over the course of probably a number of episodes. So, awesome. So, okay, I think with that out of the way, we're going to roll it back now and let's take a look at some of those heat questions. I think we'll have each of you answer 3. I think you've got 4 of them there. We'll have you choose the 3 that you want to answer. Let us start with... we'll start with Dawson.
All right. I'll keep it simple and answer my first question of who was holding me back as my tag team partner. You know, I never liked that Grimes fella. Always trying to steal the spotlight for himself. Doesn't really truly appreciate the art of it.
I married you.
All right. So then that means that you have heat. So you've got a little section at the bottom of your sheet. You've got 1 heat with Grimes. And heat is one directional. So someone might have a ton of heat with you, but it's not necessarily, it's not a two-way street necessarily.
That makes more sense. I was just gonna say, like, we're all gonna have the same, but no, okay.
Yeah. Yep. So let's go next then. Let's toss it to Grimes and see about one of their heat questions.
Who's jealous of my devoted fan base? It's none other than Frugal Dougal. I mean, I'm hot coming on the scene. I don't have any wrestling talent, and people want to see my matches and not his boring ones. So clearly, it's FR.
Awesome. So then you got 1 heat with Frugal Dougal, the Pikeman. And let's go to Isaac to see one of the Pikeman's heat questions.
Let's see. I would say, who is my protege? And I'm gonna say it's the Ranger. The Ranger is my protege. Thy will is strong, Ranger. Forsooth, I pray thee, will come forth amongst mind body.
What the hell did you just try and tell me there?
Like, what century is this from? Where, like, what time period is he from originally?
He's from 1590s.
1590s. Okay.
I hope that changes every week. I don't.
Depending.
I mean,
We're almost done, so we'll see.
Where's that accent from?
All right. Let's make Isaac go again and then snake it back around the other way.
Well, of course, who has no respect for my work and the company? Thine bastard. You have turd in your teeth.
I don't even
Grind.
know my name. Okay, all right.
So
Grimes.
+1 with Grimes.
All right.
Let's go over to Joe. One of your heat questions.
Who's willing to make me bleed? I know for sure the Ranger, is all about it. So I enjoy those matches because I know that someone's gonna show some color.
Is your like tag team like already broken up and then come back together, or did you just have a rivalry before you became a tag team?
What do you think, Dawson?
I think it has probably be betrayal at one point.
So we used to be together, and we've
Used to be, and then we've grown
we've
apart.
since- Okay.
But
I'm
how do
cool
we
with
do that? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then Dawson, one of your heat questions.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been that one person who's trying to teach me stuff outside of the ring. You know how to be a better person and all, but I think it's none other than my good pal Frugal Dougal. I mean, he has such a weird charm to him, man. It's just really weird. But he just has a way with his words.
All right. So +1 with Frugal Dougal. Then I think you all have one more question left, right? So let's start
Yep.
with Joe T.
All right. Quick question: is it possible to have negative heat with someone, or is it always at either 0 or positive?
My memory says that I think it is it's probably possible to have negative heat.
Okay. So who has returned from an injury I gave them? And there was a match for the tag team titles. The Ranger and I were going after it, and I just really needed to hit someone with a fluorescent light tube. And I had blood in my eyes from, nobody wanted to make me bleed at the time, and the only guy that would was my partner. So I palmed a razor blade and I cut myself just at a point, and it's hard to see. And I just cracked that tube over who I thought was someone else, and happened to be the Ranger. And well, we haven't really wrestled together since, and he needed a bunch of stitches in the back of his head and his back. But he's fine. He's back now. He's doing okay.
All right. Okay, so Casey just redeemed a rumor.
Oh.
So we're gonna go with this. And as we're gonna learn, I haven't done the setup to the promotion yet, but WTF Promotions is at present, like, it's making money, but it's like a pretty shoestring budget, and a lot of the people that work for it are doing so for financial aid benefits at the university, or it's a lot of pro bono work. And so there's a lawyer who also wrestles who will be factored into this rumor. The rumor is that everyone is curious about the initial breakup between Grimes Grimes, right?
Grimes.
Grimes and the Ranger, but that you both maybe, when this question comes up in interviews, like you're under an NDA, like you can't discuss it, and so that's just like what you say. There's like a lot of questions or mysteries about the initial breakup, but nobody knows because legal has stepped in and said like you can't talk about it. It got messy or something, so no one knows.
Ooh.
At least that's the rumor that's going around.
Sure. It's all hearsay.
So I think we'll go over next to Isaac for the Pikeman's last question.
Okay. Who is desperately seeking my approval? We all, forsooth, thy people, the good people, know that Grimes, ye are secretly seeking mine own approval.
The +1 heat.
Plus one. A question. For the protege, my ranger, do I get a +1 heat with the ranger as well?
Yeah,
Or
that,
no?
that was your previous one. Yeah, each of these, like whoever you're naming to
Okay,
answer it, you
sounds
get
good.
one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And I think the Ranger is the last one.
Who's jealous of my technical ability? I mean, it's gotta be none other than my former tag team partner Grimes himself.
I didn't realize I was so insecure. Oh no.
At least I think that's why you
Yeah.
may have, stabbed me in the back.
All right. So then
The million tiny shards of glass.
we'll have to revisit there'll be a part 2 of that street fight at some point, maybe.
Ooh.
Okay. So you should have some plus with one of the other people based on your heat. And now you'll look to maybe the back of your sheet. And there's a box in the upper right-hand corner that is tracking your audience. And each of you has one number with a little diamond next to it that says, you start and reset to this audience level. So I'm going to go around and get that number from each of you. I'm going to update my overlay so people can see what your starting audience scores are.
For that, I'd also like to point out another thing that I've noticed on this sheet is, depending on what role we take, we automatically have heat with the opposite role. What I've noticed.
Yes, that is true. So yeah, you can factor that in right now. So those of you that are heels, you have heat, +1 heat with Dougal, Frugal Dougal. And then Frugal Dougal, you have +1 heat with the two of them. And then, yes, going back to the audience part, I'm going to ask each of you what your starting audience score is. So let's start with Isaac. What is your audience score starting at?
It says that my audience score is you start with 2.
2.
The 2 to audience.
And then that number will dictate what your starting momentum is for the session.
Okay.
What is your starting momentum?
Each episode I start with 1 momentum.
Starting with 1. All right. Let's go to Joe. What is your starting audience score at?
It's the number next to the diamond, right?
Yep.
+1.
1. And what do you start for momentum?
start each episode with 1 momentum.
All right. And Dawson, how about the Ranger?
I also start at a +1. And I start with 1 momentum.
All right. So just a reminder that you don't want to end the session at 0 audience. Ending at 0 audience at the end of the session would result in you being asked to leave the promotion and have to create a new character. Ideally, you'll end the session with a high score. You'd want to try to get to 4 or more audience to claim that top spot and set your character up to start the next episode with as much momentum and resources as possible. So we've got that done. Let me look back at my checklist here. Okay, I think what we will do before maybe I should set up the promotion and then I'll ask this. So you 3 are all wrestlers with the promotion called Wrestle to Fame, WTF Promotions, which was initially founded and financed by a theater arts grant at the University of Wisconsin. And it has kind of jumped around. There was a point in time where this promotion was literally happening in like frat house basements, but it has grown and improved to the point that it now regularly on a weekly basis is booking shows at the Alliant Energy Center. That's the Clamshell building.
That's big.
Behind there.
Behind there, there's camping. This is harkening back to us a joke about directions at GameWorld Con. So WTF Wrestling was founded by a business theater double major named Nikki Notion. And she streams these shows now currently on Twitch at twitch.tv/WTF Wrestling. And it used to be just on the campus TV airwaves, but now has grown. They're on TikTok. They're just, they utilize all the platforms to kind of get the highlights out. It's turning a slight profit at the moment, but Nikki has some aspirations. She'd like to see it go mainstream or grow, and not just be this niche thing. She seems to be kind of floundering a bit with how to do that. Like she's a little bit scatterbrained, and she's always got like a new idea that she will try for a month or two and then abandon for the next new thing. So that's been kind of her mode of operations. As far as other people that kind of help with producing the show, one of them is the person that serves also as the ref is also the person that trains on and onboards talent. Their name is Jim Laybourne. And they're probably larger than almost all of the other wrestlers. Like, this is like a John Goodman, like, sized guy. And so, unlike in other wrestling promotions where the wrestlers are always like these little people that get knocked out, it doesn't happen as much, or when it does, like, it's hard for the crowd to buy into it just because of how large this man is. He's also a psychology professor at the university, and he does not really understand the theatrics of pro wrestling. He's just like, he's probably like best friends with the bounty hunter because he's very much like a technical guy. Behind the scenes, you have Donald Kovitz, who is a camera operator. He's commentary. He's the announcer. He does all the interviews in the back. So he's pretty busy most of the time.
I can imagine.
And then I guess I won't tell you too much about like all the different wrestlers. There's so many different people that come in on a either part-time basis or returning alumni that fill a spot. But your champion is Jackie D, the Jack of Hearts. He is the WTF champion. He is kind of your stereotypical frat boy. He's probably not doing all that great in school. He parties a lot. He comes out with a red Solo cup. You can imagine the type. They call him the Jack of Hearts. And so those are some of the characters that you will see here in this promotion. And so we're going to start things out. There is going to be a show tonight. The three of you are not... you're not employed by WTF Promotions yet. You may have wrestled elsewhere or transferred in, or your alumni, like however you want to fit that in is up to you. But you're basically trying to get a contract, and you're trying to get on this show. You've heard that it's maybe up and coming, and you maybe think that you could be a part of growing this promotion. And so there's been kind of an open call to get some new talent on this particular card. And so I think to start things off, we'll have each of you maybe explain a bit about either previous WTF shows that you've been on. You might have been on other shows just without like a permanent kind of like deal, or maybe where you're coming from as a performer. Like what has been most recently happening in your career. Or tell us about a highlight from like your previous match. Like kind of like set us up however you want to talk about this is fine. So we'll go around the table, and why don't we start? We'll start with Joe to tell us a bit about Grimes.
Can I pass?
Sure, you can pass. Who would you like to pass to?
Dawson.
To
Yeah,
Dawson.
I'll pass
Okay.
to Dawson. Yeah.
All right, I'll give it a go. Well, I'd say before WTF Productions, he did a lot of jobber work. I mean, everyone needs a good jobber, and he's definitely an expert in selling because he knows how the body works and moves and how to definitely show how effective a move can be. But then, you know what? I need a rebrand. I can't just be stuck in this jobber position all the time. I gotta get myself out there, and I think I need a definite buddy to help me do that. Perhaps a tag team partner. And then together he found a tag team group to help push his career forward, at least get him. I mean, he probably turned into jobber tag team groups, but at least getting booked a little more, and he's starting to build up his identity as this wonderful ranger who is ready to take on anyone in his way.
All right.
So that's the brand he's building.
Sounds good. Should we go, Joe, are you ready, or should we go to Isaac?
Yeah. No, I think I'm okay now. So I hinted at it a little bit. So Grimes has very wealthy parents, comes from generational wealth. Tried to play field hockey, was too violent. Think, Happy Gilmore, but instead of hockey, it's field hockey. And instead of golf, found wrestling. So found a flyer about like wrestling school and thought, okay, well, I'm going to go try that. Went to wrestling school and came with like empty beer bottles and lacrosse stick and tacks and a baseball bat, like all these things, thinking like, oh, because all Grimes has seen is the hardcore matches, and that's what he thinks wrestling school is. So he shows up, and the instructor's like, what are you doing with all this stuff? And he proceeds to hit himself with all this stuff and make himself bleed. And the teacher's like, all right, well, I don't know if you can actually do something, but I know you could make $50 tonight if you slot in and take those hits. So Grimes was all for it. Grimes took those hits. Sort of became like this, like sidecar kind of clown sort of approach, where like wasn't headlining, but people would come just to see what's that crazy guy gonna do this time. And then I got a little out of hand and managed to injure someone in the audience, and needed to kind of rein it in. His parents then sent him to college, and now he's trying to find a way to get into this and still like rein it in a little bit, but wants to, again, find that adrenaline as much as possible, and still try and be employed and get through school and by any means necessary.
Is he a non-traditional student, or like, how old is he?
Yeah. Let's say that Grimes is I want to say like 26.
Okay.
Or wait, what's the, how long can you be on your parents' insurance?
I think 26.
Is it
Yeah.
So he's 25. He's 25. Like, he's got a year left of riding his parents' insurance. He's got a year left to get his shit figured out.
He's gonna be sending these medical bills back to his parents.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing at college? Do they know? Do they know?
Yes, I would say that they know, because of the lawsuit. But let's say they know about the wrestling in Indiana, but that after they sent him to school, no more wrestling. You can't wrestle anymore. You need to go to school. So Grimes finds this and is like, okay, I'm gonna play it under the radar now. I'm gonna try not to get any blood on the Range Rover seats, and I'm gonna do wrestling on the side and try and get a paycheck here in the next year so I can drop out and then get paid and be off making my millions in the big promotions.
So I have to ask that because there's an element to this game that we can introduce, not tonight, but later, that involves dealing with your family, dealing with your friends, dealing with getting in the car and like who's your road crew that you like go to like different venues with, and so you can play out the personal interactions that you're having as you're, what's that show on WWE Network that they had where they would get in the car and then like show them like sitting down and eating dinner, and
it something terrible.
So it'd be something like that where like,
excellent.
So then let's go next to the pikeman.
I would say that the pikeman, he I think from a young age he had always been infatuated with wrestling, to the point where even in high school, he and his buddies would always wrestle. And he would learn kind of, maybe not a traditional wrestling sense, but just like there was always someone better than him and he'd always want to learn from them. He also had a big love for history. So community college came around. He decided to get into community college. I want to say that it's probably like his 4th year in community college, because he's kind of just riding it a bit. And he hears about this promotion that's happening out of UC Madison. So he is just, or UW Madison. He is just so infatuated that he just works his ass off to try to do well in school, pushes for that history degree so that he could transfer there with the hopes that he will get connected some way into this promotion. He still doing like side gigs, wrestling. He's gone through the things in his, even in like high school, and even like in the his networking, he's gotten to become a champion in like these smaller things. He's given the title, he's done all these things, and he hasn't really had he's had the experience, but he hasn't had the spotlight. And this is like the first time that he's gotten that. So he comes with a sense, I think, in this group, like I would say maybe in order to even like in order to be kind of like to stand out, like he's not much like, as far as like technical wrestling, he's a lot better, but like feats of strength, like he's not so strong. But he did like a double. What did we say? It's the London Broil. He did a double London Broil on both like competitors, and like dropped them both at the same time, and that like caught the eye of Nikki. So he is hoping that he could continue, because he's learned that, I mean, he wanted to be a history teacher, but he's learned that history is a bit impacted. That's what, like, history teachers love what they do and never retire. So there's not much anything left but to really wrestle. So that's kind of where he's going now.
And pro wrestlers love what they do and then are forced to retire.
Uh-huh.
I like that
career and life.
I like that the wrestling promotion is now a recruitment and retention program for the university.
Honestly,
give us funding.
Give us funding. That's good. That's a good thought, huh?
This is a pilot program, and we need to scale up and replicate this the successes of WTF wrestling. All right, awesome. So those are the main characters. Well, hopefully, we'll see. Still have to earn your spot. So I think our show is going to open with at the Alliant Energy Center. Of course, WTF Promotions has a pretty close relationship with the university. So you got a lot of students that are showing their school ID at the gates to get their discount. But it also has this sort of devoted cult following, and so there are definitely like people that drive in from out of town, out of state, to come here and watch these shows, because it is not a traveling promotion. So the only way that you can watch it is if you come in, fly in locally, and it, it's a way bigger arena than they need for their purposes, but they can pull in, I don't know. What's a generous number for this? Maybe like 1,000 people, 2,000 people.
That's pretty good.
Thousands pretty generous.
1,000.
Yeah. 150.
I feel like the capacity of that building is probably 10,000 plus, but
It's big.
Yeah.
you know, with
there's
camera
like
angles
rooms
and things like that. Yeah, they make it work. So definitely have like a pretty healthy looking crowd that is filling into the bleacher seats. And we will see that Danny Kovic is running around, and he's already put in a lot of work, because him and a lot of the wrestlers probably had to set up the ring. They had to do all sorts of preparation beforehand. And Danny has a headset on, and he's got a camera, and he is the show starts with him kind of panning around the crowd as he says, "Welcome! Thank you for joining us here for WTF Promotions. My name is Danny Kovic." He flips the camera around real quick, and I am pleased to have you here for this evening. We've got a great show coming up for you. And right away from the get-go, we're going to hear from the boss herself, Nikki Notion. Oh, shoot. And then he goes and he like puts the camera on like the corner turnbuckle, and he grabs a mic and he runs into the center of the ring. And he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, now introducing Nikki Notion." And you see as this fairly hip woman, probably like late 20s. She's a graduate now at this point, but she's been out of school for a few years. She's got kind of very trendy looking kind of hairstyle. She's wearing like an orange blazer, blue eyeliner, and she's maybe like 5'1", and she comes out. The crowd knows her and are cheering for her. They start to repeat her name, Nikki, 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 and she is loving it. She's got her selfie stick out, and she's like recording it. She's live streaming this on her personal account as she comes down to the ring, and she hams it up with the audience for like way too long. They'll have to edit that out, but she does it anyway. She rolls her way into the ring. She grabs the mic from Danny, and she says, welcome, y'all here tonight. because you have an inkling, you have a feeling, dare I say a notion, that professional wrestling can be more than just sweat and slams. Tonight, we will see the passion and determination of individuals who are here to make their dreams come true. WTF Wrestling is about the future. It's about proving that you can be anyone or anything that you want to be. A doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, or even the WTF champion. Applause, applause, applause. And it all starts here tonight, because we have a full lineup of unsigned talent from across campus ready to earn their contracts, which include the coveted WTF tuition discount. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And starting today, you can get 20% off qualifying purchases of Hydra Quench using promo code WhatTheF at checkout. Get ready, folks. The future starts now. Applause.
Did you say and I oop?
And
what
I
is
oop.
that? And I
It's
oop?
like she's like a Visco girl.
Oh.
I don't know what it means. I don't think it means anything.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So they play her out, and then we see a vignette play on the monitor. And this is going to be a vignette that is promoting one of two characters that are going to be in a matchup against each other for a contract here tonight. And that vignette is going to be of Grimes. So, we have to turn to our reference sheet. So your reference sheet has on it all sorts of different moves that you can do. And some of them are context dependent.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a whole list of basic moves, and some of those include things like getting cheap heat. When you insult or praise the audience in their hometown, you gain +1 momentum. You can only do that once per episode. That's probably the most basic one on that sheet. There others require roles and such, but I'm not going to go through all of them. But basically, like a lot of like the tropes that you can think of that happen in wrestling probably have a move associated with them. And so over time as we play, you'll probably want to get familiar with some of these things to know when you can invoke them for different benefits. But with something like a vignette, we'll wait, I guess, to see and hear Joe T as you like kind of create what this little video package looks like. Like we can kind of work together to find a move that maybe that thing that you come up with belongs to. But that's how a lot of the game is going to be, is you describe a thing, and then we kind of, you know, maybe you intentionally or unintentionally are making a move, and we'll figure out what applies. So without like worrying too much what's on the sheet at the present, Joe, what do you think that video package of Grimes would look like?
I think that it would be it would probably be some footage from lacrosse practice where I'm just laying dudes out, like little quick hits of like 2 seconds where I'm just like running at someone who's not even like in the play and just like laying them out. And then we'd see like cuts of because there's no video recordings of the matches I was in because they were so low budget, just like shots of like poorly lit me swinging something at someone or someone hitting me with something, and we'd see some of these things stitched together, and Grimes would be talking over it, and speaking to the he used to be a sheep, and used to, you know, be just like everybody else, but now he's channeled a power greater than himself and greater than anyone else, and can no longer feel pain and wants to free everyone from their mortal coil and also release them from their pain if they'd only succumb to Grimes. Something along those lines.
Yeah. I think it could be probably a number of things. Why don't we just for expediency's sake, let's call it a work the audience and see if like the crowd is going to react to that. So
Okay.
you roll 2d6.
8.
You got an 8. So the audience seems interested in this video package that you helped maybe give some advice to. Maybe you helped select some of the clips and things like that. So you're going to gain +1 momentum. But
Okay.
the audience is, if you don't deliver in this match tonight, there's a chance that the audience will turn on you. So you've got their interest, you got them hooked, but there could be some extra consequence if you don't end the match that you have later on tonight with the pikemen.
Oh.
Which you didn't maybe know who your opponent was going to be when you had to create this vignette. So you didn't have the
Okay.
chance necessarily to name drop them or anything like that. But yeah, so for the moment you get +1 momentum.
Okay. So then I am at 2 total momentum because I started each episode with 1. Is that accurate? Am I
Yes.
following along? Okay, cool. Good
So
deal.
you're at 2. I'm going to update that on my screen here. I think there's something I'm just realizing we probably missed something. Some of you or all of you probably have an option to pick a bonus move. So you've got some moves on your gimmick sheet that are specific moves that your character type can make, in addition to the basic moves that you have on the reference sheet. So just realize that those are there, and then I think you have an option. Some of you have a pick 1, or some of you might have a pick 2, and so you just make your selections that you think fit. So from there, we will end up seeing a match between 2 characters. This is sort of like kind of like a dark match, perhaps. Like it's kind of like the opener act after we just heard from Nikki and saw that vignette of Grimes. And so we end up seeing a match between 2 competitors named Anthony Strokes and Fireman Dan. And so you can imagine this, the fight between these 2 titans is, of course, like a great opening match. Anthony Strokes is also known as the artist, and he comes down to the ring with a palette and paintbrush, which he ends up, invoking throughout the match to taunt his opponent and otherwise humiliate them. Fireman Dan is just a beefcake with a big fireman helmet on, comes down with a big fireman's hose around his neck, and he does kind of like a Shawn Michaels sexy dance as he comes down to the ring. He's clearly the face in this matchup. The bell rings. Strokes and Dan both circle each other up. They gauge each other. It's a little bit of a slow open, but the action gets fired up pretty quickly as there's a bit of a back and forth. Strokes is the quicker of the 2. He does a lot of roll-ups. He does some. Eventually, the momentum of the match turns when he goes to do a high-flying maneuver that Fireman Dan correctly predicts and sidesteps out of the way and manages to use a fireman's toss or a fireman's carry to drop him to the mat. And eventually he sets him up for the Inferno suplex and sets him up for the finisher. 1, 2, 3, and the match is over. Fireman Dan is the winner. Crowd seems amped up after that match, and we are just one segment away from the match between the Pikemen and Grimes. Backstage, Pikeman, you're waiting in just like kind of like just outside like your dressing room area. You're supposed to be having an interview, and you're like watching like the monitor, and you just hear Danny is like, we gotta cut to a commercial break. Be right back. When we return, I will be talking with the Pikemen. And as that goes quiet, you see Danny running backstage to find you. And he's got the camera and he's getting you all hooked up. He's just like sweating beads. And he's just like, God, we really need to hire some other people or get an intern or something. Like, this is ridiculous. All right.
Yeah.
You've done these before. You know how a promo works?
Aye.
Aye.
In character. Aye.
Good. Okay. We're back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back live. I am here with Danny... Dougal, the Pikeman.
Aye.
So tell us, Dougal, what do you think? What do you know about your opponent? What do you have to say to the people before your big debut match here in WTF Promotions?
Hark, you mighty audience, bear witness to Clash of Titans. In this grand arena, tales untold. Forsooth, I say, my hatred of this individual. I was a rival of his ancestors long ago. Disgusting as it may, they bore an offspring. Brother and sister they were. Eventually, Grimes was what was spat out of their loins. Those who dare to oppose me prepare for battle of epic proportions. I beseech thee, challengers and all, come forth. Grimes is muck, but he is a mighty warrior. Forsooth. But I am a pikeman of London. A pikeman turned wrestler. For that is all I have left in this weird place. Grimes, you are turd.
All right.
Did he say turd?
Turd. It's an Elizabethan term. So I would say by default it could be a promo move, but if you got something else that you think applies, feel free.
I don't think that I'm gonna say that move was just a promo, regular promo.
All right, then do a roll plus look, and you can add any heat that you have with Grimes to this one.
That's right. We're gonna add a +2, and then once I start the actual match, I gain a momentum. But for now, that fell, so we'll just go an 8. Oh wait, 10.
A 10. Okay, with a 10, you connect with the audience. Even if you don't connect with Danny, who's looking at you with just like dumbfounded stare. But you get to choose 2 of the things on the list if you see that under the basic moves on the reference sheet. Basically, you can make creative book you in a match. You can add a stipulation to a match. You can have them come out and respond to your promo. Or you can gain +1 heat with the subject of your promo. So you get to choose 2 of those.
I'm going to say that we add heat, an additional heat. And I'm sorry, I was looking for the other stuff. You said that there was something to do with having a move or changing a move or something like that?
You can add a stipulation to a match.
Oh. Yes. We will do that.
All right. What would you like it to be?
That it is a Pike versus whatever you would like, knave.
It's a duel?
Forsooth. Gramercy, me lord. Gramercy. And he goes and takes off his hat and kind of bows.
Danny is just sitting there with the camera and the mic, and he's just like, what does that mean? I have to go out there and announce this. Help! Well, whatever. He picks up all of his equipment, he runs back down to the ring, and he sets himself up, and... Oh, I better quiet the music here. Oh, no. He will say, ladies and gentlemen, this next contest, I think, is for one fall. It is a Pike versus whatever the other guy brings to the ring, I suppose, match. Making his way from Munster, Indiana, weighing in at 192 pounds, he is the satanic field hockey master, Grimes.
So Grimes has a pillowcase, and it's filled with something over his back, and he is determined in going down to the ring, and looking at all of the different people. Like, is there like a ramp? Like, what's the situation here of like entrance ratio to the crowd and that kind of stuff?
Probably not it's probably like mostly like floor seats and maybe some like bleachers in the back. So it's probably just like a straight walkway to like kind of the back bleacher or the locker room area. So there's nothing fancy.
Right next to people. We're right next to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm flipping everybody off. I am just like, I'm not even looking at them. I'm not acknowledging them. I am just flipping them off. Like, I'm not putting my one hand's on my bag and the other hand is just giving them the bird, and I'm just going down to the ring.
Awesome. We will say that you get +1 heat with your opponent for this one after having riled up the crowd.
Okay.
And then as you make your way into the ring, you've got your bag and everything. Danny just kind of gives you a nod. You can see the towering presence of the referee, this maybe late 50s man. He's just a mountain of a man, probably like 6'6". You're a tall character yourself, but he's even just a little bit taller than you. He's just like big bear of man, big round belly, barrel chested. He's just looking down on you, and he's like kind of going over like pretending like he's going over the rules or whatever with you as you come in. Even though he has no idea what the rules of this match necessarily are, other than what weapons are involved. And then Danny says, "Oh, we gotta. Here's where I'll quiet the music because we got some special intro music for this character." And then he says, making his way to the ring from London, England, circa 1590, weighing in at 230 pounds, he is the pikeman Frugal Dougal. And we see at the coming out of the backstage area,
He would, you would see the pikeman kind of walking, and he would have the pike. He would be dragging it behind him, and he would like he's done this thing where he'd like put like kind of like a flint and tinder on the edge of his pike. So when he would get to the ramp, he'd rip it like forward, and it would like cause sparks to happen like at the tip, and he'd like hoist it up and just be like ah, and he'd look to the audience. And he'd kind of make his way down, and he'd go and find a kid, hopefully that is kind of cheering, and he'd stop, and he'd put it down. He'd let him like hold the pike for a second, and like bow and give him like a bow with his hat, and put it back on, and then grab his pike, and then go back, and then just start walking to the ring, kind of holding it in sequence until the music would stop, and he would do his like bows to the audience, getting each like corner, and just like raise this pike. That's at least like, I'm gonna say it's like 16 feet tall. Like this is a long thing that he's carrying, just like and pointing at like Grimes as he does it.
and Danny's just on commentary. He's bringing to the ring an absurdly large foreign object. I don't think we've seen anything like this in WTF wrestling. And he's like on the commentary, and he's like, I can't even get it. I can't even frame it up, Nikki. He's like moving the camera up and down. And then he's just like, look, can I get someone from the back to come out here and help me with on commentary? This is just, it's too much. I just feel like this. Who's that new guy? Ranger. Yeah, he's been name dropped a couple of times here tonight. Ranger, hello. If you're back there, get yourself out here with a headset. Help me out. And so he's calling you out to come and do commentary with him.
I would say from coming down the ramp would be a rather smaller guy, but pretty decently built. He has a nice 5-gallon hat and a big old dirty duster that he walks on with him. And as he doesn't look like acknowledge the audience at all. He is straightforward mindset, going straight to the audience booth. But just before entering the audience booth, the commentator's booth, he does one little look up towards the two competitors, just does a little stare, and then looks back towards the commentator booth and walks forward.
So there isn't really so much of a commentary booth as there's just like a soundboard that like he's like hooked up with the camera. So like you don't really have like an opportunity to like do commentary along with Danny at this point because he's just like wandering around with the camera. So you're there like on color commentary kind of like by yourself while you watch him like run around. So mechanically speaking, this is a one-on-one match with a hardcore element to it. So in looking at the reference sheet, those are where the moves are. We'll point out maybe a couple of them that might be relevant in this particular match. But basically, the swinginess of the match is basically who's in narrative control. And when you're doing dice rolls throughout, you're kind of rolling to retain narrative control. If you ever botch something or fail a roll, you'll flip it to the other person. Now, you can always give up your spot and give the other person control. That is called the comeback. You see that on Worldwide Wrestling in-ring moves on that sheet. 2 down from the top is the comeback. You can voluntarily hand off narration to your opponent. If you do so, when you have the upper hand and the audience can see that your opponent is at your mercy, and if you have no momentum when you do that, you would gain 1 momentum. So like probably the best time to do that is when you've spent all your momentum doing like other shit. Alternatively, if you want control, you can use the interrupt. You can say you want to try to take control of the match by spending 1 momentum, and then you narrate how you counter their moves, disrupt or otherwise disrupt the current sequence that's happening, and then you make a roll.
Can you be narrating even when you are the one on that isn't currently on the offensive? Like, can you narrate as if your character is being beaten by the other character at the current moment?
You could, although in general, like maybe it would be better to like use your use the mechanics to enable you to do that. So like an interrupt is for you to take control and start narrating the scene.
Okay. So when you're the idea then would be that when you're narrating, you should be also in control of the match.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
For the most part.
Yeah.
You know, like little flavor is obviously fine, but like
yeah,
to set up a sequence or something, or set up like how the match kind of changes, or so there's all sorts of things in there. Like the most basic move that you would use would be the wrestling move, which is you narrate a sequence of maneuvers and moments that lead up to a spot, and then you would make a roll based on what's relevant. Like it's kind of depends on what skill that you're using. They have listed there, it's typically body or work. But there are other things, obviously on your sheets that you can use as moves, or you know, if you're there's all sorts of stuff on this reference sheet that you could use, but like we could, for this first one, maybe just boil it down to kind of those basics, like what's on your character sheet, and then like the wrestling move. We also have the bounty hunter is on commentary, and the bounty hunter, the person that is on commentary during a match, has a move that they can do called put over. So anytime they want to maybe add some color commentary, they could try to put over a wrestler after a wrestler in a match rolls the dice for a move. The commentary can recap what they are doing, or added some spin to the move that was just telegraphed by one of the active wrestlers. Sometimes they can do this like after maybe a failure or a botch to try to like explain it away, like, oh, he didn't get all of that right, like that kind of line, like try to mask it a bit to like maybe make it not as bad. This goes on, the balance of control goes between the 2 wrestlers for as long as you guys really want. Like you decide like we're kind of done, and then somebody sets up the finish, or I could step in and say like, okay, let's have the finish. I
would go home.
Yep. So the way that works is well, this is interesting, I guess, because we have a stipulation. There's kind of a hardcore element to it that was added. So hardcore says, when you draw first blood or revel in violence in the ring, you can roll plus reel. And on a 10 plus, the crowd goes nuts and you retain control of the match and pick 2 of the things that are there. Okay. That's just like, that's a move that you could make during the match, but it doesn't end it. So you can use the straight match move to end a match that you're in. Use the standard wrestling move as normal with the following addition. When you hit a 10 plus on the wrestling move, retain control of the match and pick either gain a momentum or spend a momentum to go for the victory. Going for the victory entails anything which would win the match per its other stipulations. When you go for the victory, your opponent can interrupt or use other appropriate moves to kick out, break the pin, or otherwise steal the victory from you. If they cannot do so or choose not to, then you roll for your finishing move, and that result determines who wins the match. So that is a way that you could choose to finish the match. But otherwise, I have a winner picked for all of these. So you can just say, we're done, give us the finish, and then I would tell you that. But this is one of those ways you could alter the creative's decision.
Oh, interesting.
So this is probably going to be a little bit sloppy. We're going to be, referring to sheets and kind of stumbling our way through it and figuring it out. But do you guys feel ready for the bell to ring?
Sure.
Now, is there one of you between the two of you that wants to elect to obtain narrative control to start things off? Or we could do like a roll off or something to get it started.
Go
Let's
ahead.
roll.
Oh, roll? Okay,
Oh,
that sounds
okay.
good. We can roll. We
Okay,
can
let's roll.
That
Let's
sounds
roll.
good. All right, we'll roll just one die.
1,
Yeah. 3.
2.
Okay.
Okay, so the pikeman, Isaac, will be starting us off. How does the setup to this match look?
So once I would say once that the bell is rung, the pikeman would stand there like at attention, looking at Grimes, and kind of just pointing, and he would I think he would like immediately go forsooth, and he would raise his pike, and he just like put it at like a charge move, like as close as he can. And I think that like right at the beginning, he's gonna just attempt to like try to like poke at Grimes just at a distance, kind of going ooh ha, ooh ha, ooh ha, as he's like trying to corner him into the corner, try to like maybe like poke at him.
All right. So do you have thoughts about what the move is?
I think that it would be kind of like I guess since we're using actual like foreign objects, I think he would just, I would say maybe like the move would be kind of like a wrestling move where he attempts to like extend the pike, but I think doing so, I think right off the bat, I think he's gonna try to make Grimes kind of go over right off the bat. I don't know if I'm able to do this, but like I have that option.
So, it's one of your gimmicks? One of your gimmick
put him
moves?
over. So as I like kind of reach over and kind of overextend, I'm going to try to get a plus. I get to roll on a work and add a +10 to this to gain 1 audience. So I'm trying to put Grimes over by like overextending myself right off the bat.
Which gimmick did you have?
I'm the veteran.
The veteran.
Also, I would start with an extra momentum. Just so once the match starts.
Okay, so you got 2 momentum to start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you're doing the put 'em over.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so roll a work.
Yep. So that would be that would be and I'm adding my heat to this, correct?
I believe so.
All right, so that would be 13 plus, so 15.
All right. So then that occurs. You both gain +1 audience. And control is still with you, Isaac. Any commentary that we are hearing from the ranger?
We can see that the pikeman is initiating his superior range advantage with that pike of his, but doesn't seem to have quite the good control of it that he hopes for.
All right. So then play still rests with Isaac.
I think at this point, with the with Grimes like holding on to the tip, I think the pikeman would like kind of firm his grip and like do like a tug of war, like pull to like not try to like knock him prone closer to him, like pull Grimes like to the center of the mat, like, and trying to knock him prone, kind of wrestling move.
Sounds good. So maybe that is just going to be a wrestling move using maybe body.
Sure.
Feat
All
of
right.
strength.
And I'm still adding the heat, correct? I got another 11, so that would be 10 plus 2, so 12.
12. The crowd pops, you nail the spot, retain control of the match, and gain +1 momentum.
All right. At this point, him on the floor, I think the pikeman would he would move to the center, and with his pike, he would do like a salute to the crowd, and then like just say at ease, and he'd drop his pike like on the like the center of Grimes' back, like just pound it like into his back as hard as he could, right? Gah! Forsooth! He kind of yelled.
Okay. You kind of work in the audience maybe a bit, like just trying to get some hype going. So roll an audience.
Sure. An audience. There we are. Let me. And that's with heat, so that would be a. That would be a 9.
Okay, on a 9, the crowd, you kind of feel like they're not sure what to make of this, but you get an applause, and so you're going to get 1 momentum. However, I'm going to say that with this this momentary distraction, perhaps it will put Grimes in a position to either steal the scene or set up a move or what have you. So Grimes, what would you like to do as the crowd's attention is on the pikeman?
Yeah, so where am I? What? I'm sorry. what
You're
position
underneath
did I
me.
end up?
You're pretty much we're at the center of the ring. You're underneath
Yeah.
me, and I'm like jamming my like pike butt into your back.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to take control, or I don't know if this would be an interrupt then, depending on the 9 and where things are going there, but I think so. Grimes would be on the ground, and is smiling, is laughing while on the ground, and this pike is in his back. and he's enjoying it, and he's starting to feel alive now. So he then so I'm imagining too that when I grabbed the pike at the beginning of the match, I dropped the bag, right? So what I'd like to do is kind of like slide backwards. So I'd like kind of push myself and slide backwards, and then kick the pikeman in the butt or the back to kind of get him to hit the ropes, and then bounce back to me for a drop kick in the back of the head.
All right. Do you have a move in mind? Otherwise, I would say maybe a wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling. Yeah. Yep. I was thinking wrestling. Yes.
Wrestling work.
Wrestling and work. Yeah. I don't think a drop kick is acrobatic skill, right? That would be. It's more of a.
Yeah, I think it's more the selling of how good it looks, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So an 8.
An 8. Okay. So you keep the audience going after the hype that they got from the pikemen. You get to choose whether to hand control of the match to your opponent and gain +1 momentum, or retain control of the match.
I'd like to retain control of the match.
All right. So your move goes off. The crowd is starting to get into it. Some of the people maybe had gone to get some concessions after that amazing match with Fireman Dan, but people are coming back, and now they're starting to see this interesting display, and you have control of the match. Any commentary that we are hearing from the Ranger?
What a great way to take advantage that exit ring awareness that I know that Grimes has. To take advantage of the poor pikeman's flamboyancy.
All right. Match rolls on. Joe is in control with Grimes.
So I'm gonna grab the pike, and I'm gonna throw it out of the ring. So it's on the side of the ring. It's not in the ring anymore. I want to go over and pick up I want to pick up Frugal Dougal from the back of the neck, and then I want to put him in a headlock, and while in the headlock, walk into the corner and just start rubbing his face in the turnbuckle. Still has the pad on it, but just kind of like making it real uncomfortable.
All right.
And that's a wrestling move, I think.
Wrestling move.
And does that work?
I think work.
Yeah.
You're trying to make it look real, and
Ooh, that's a 3.
ooh. So with that, it's a botch spot. Describe how it's a botch.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not really paying attention because like my adrenaline's like kind of through the roof. So I kind of like have my elbow over his eyes and not really under his neck. And as I start rubbing, I'm just rubbing my elbow in the turnbuckle. And I'm starting to get sweaty because I'm so like over the top that like it's just so easy. Like it's more challenging to keep his head under my arm than it is in any, like, I don't know, he's just slippery, so he just kind of slips out of my head, and I got nothing. So it just looks bad. It
looks really bad, and there's no way to salvage it from the viewing audience here in the Alliant Energies.
Yeah.
Like, people are booing and laughing. It's like a mix of those reactions. But on Twitch, there's like 3,500 people watching live, and we have the Ranger, who is your former tag team partner, who has an opportunity maybe to explain away this to the live viewing audience if they choose. Or could humiliate you further with their commentary.
He will. Excellent counter by the pikeman, and noticing that he's being dragged into a disadvantageous situation and forcing the arm up to prevent him from suffering further damage.
So the announcer can use this move on each wrestler once per match, bumping up your botch to the next level of success. So, at least the people that are watching, you keep their attention on the match. People aren't clicking off to go and watch some VTuber or something. Like they stick to watching the Twitch channel, and you choose whether to hand control of the match to your opponent and gain one momentum, or retain control of the match.
I'm gonna retain control.
All right, so it's still you. You're doing this move. Confused looks in the crowd, but you can hear commentary is putting it over, so you know you haven't lost it quite yet.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do like a couple of like elbows to the like back of the neck, the shoulder, and then I'm gonna walk over to my bag and grab my bag and just kind of like wait for him to come, and then I'm gonna swing this bag without emptying it. I'm gonna swing this bag to try and hit him in the chest, just the chest right now. Before there's like, I want to build the mystery of what's in the bag. So doing that, and I think that's a wrestling move, I would think.
Wrestling move. All right. Another work.
And a work. Yeah, so that's an 11.
11. The crowd pops as you hit the spot. Do we hear the jingle jangle of what?
Yeah, there's
presume?
some jingling. Yep.
All right. So with that, the crowd pops. You retain control of the match, and you gain +1 momentum.
All right. So then he's kind of like doubled over, holding his chest. Little bits of like red, just little tiny spots. So then I do the same thing, but this time on his keister. And I'm just laughing maniacally, because now I'm like, yeah, I should stop trying to do actual wrestling moves and just use this bag. So I'm gonna call that another wrestling move.
Another wrestling move. Sounds good.
Oh dear, that's a 1.
Oh, you botch the spot. No. What does this look like?
So I'm going to swing it, but I'm using my actual pillowcase, and it is pretty ratty. And it just like explodes. It doesn't actually, there's no contact made. It's just like all these thumbtacks just start coming out now. Like it just blows up. And because they're just flying thumbtacks, they do 0 damage. Like they're not hurting anybody. And then there's just thumbtacks now all over the ring, and like now I just have this empty pillowcase that I got to try and do something with. And somehow, Frugal Dougall's got to try and sell nothing, I guess. I don't know. So it looks kind of awkward and weird.
So you lose control of the match, and remember you had that vignette earlier, and like the crowd was interested, and now after seeing this spot, you lose 1 audience.
Oh no!
People are booing. Some of the tacks had like fallen into the crowd, and people are like gathering them up and like throwing them back at the ring and shouting, "You suck!" So the
Man.
control of the match goes back to Isaac with the pikemen.
Can I ask a meta question?
Yes.
So the extra move that I chose was "Are you not entertained?" When you suffer gross injury, endure humiliation, or go down in the face of overwhelming odds. Would this be enduring humiliation? I don't know that I'd classify it as that. I feel like it's more of like the scripted kind of humiliation than a botch. But what's your interpretation of that?
Let's see. What was your gimmick?
The hardcore.
The hardcore. I'll look at it real quick and see what I think.
It's the last one under moves.
You suffer gross injury. You know what? Roll it.
Yeah. Okay.
Roll a reel. Six. They are not entertained.
They are not entertained.
But
There's
we-
another audience.
We will give you, but you get a momentum for that. So
Right. Yep. Okay, I'm down to 0.
down to 0. The crowd, the Twitch count is going down.
But because it's the first time I fall to 0, I get an advance. Right?
That's right.
Gain an advance when your audience falls to 0 the first time in an episode. Okay. And can I use those banked advances whenever, or is there a specific spot when I can use them?
Anytime.
Okay. All right.
So Control is back with the pikemen.
Pikeman is going to kind of look at you and go, like under his breath, "Damn it, there are fucking tacks everywhere."
Yes.
Oh, truth! He's gonna yell at you, and you said that you threw my pike out.
Yeah. Yep. It's out of the ring.
Okay.
It's just like ringside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So he is going to try to save this somehow by, unfortunately, testing your pain. So he is going to attempt to kind of do this like kind of mechanical like march step up to you, and he's gonna have you try like overreach to try to grab him, and he will like I think he will like slip your like reach, go underneath, and then like almost like curl you over his knee and like kind of like toss you into the tacks on the ground and just kind of pin roll you around on the ground just with all the tacks. I'm sorry, man, but we gotta salvage this somehow.
So you just made him like a rolling pin for the tax.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm gonna say at this point, creative is I'm stepping in to declare that the pikeman was slated to win this match. And so this is setting you up for the finish. So basically
Okay.
what happens here is you're going to you've kind of started it. Tell us the exact finish that happens as a result of like the setup that you've done. And then we'll roll some
Whoa.
dice.
It's obviously the London Broil. He's going to move him down. He's going to prepare, like he's going to start like chopping up some onions on the side and do all this stupid stuff. He's going to stir the pot, and then he will bring you up on that side tombstone. And like as he's doing it, he's yelling out at the crowd, "Forsooth!" And he's like trying to make a pile of tacks under like your head. Just that, like, he's not really trying to do it, but it's looking like he's trying to like move it under his head, and then he's going to just like side tombstone you and just let you drop into the thumbtacks.
All right. So then for your finisher, you make a wrestling move work. A work roll.
All right.
You need a 10 or better.
Oh. All right. And I could use this momentum or no?
Yeah, you can
If I
spend
need to?
momentum if you need to.
All right. Especially if it's might be the last one. We will see. All right. So we are at 9. I'm gonna use 1 momentum and make it a 10.
Okay. Oh, and actually, I'm sorry. It's your finishing move that's on your sheet is what it is.
Yeah, finishing move when you're booked. To win a match, roll a 2d6. On a plus 10, your finisher is clean. Choose whether your opponent gains an audience. Whether you or your opponent. Are you at 0? I'm going to say that I'm going to give that audience to him for stacking up those. I'm going to stack up that thing so that even though he took it, like he is like hardcore badass that he took like a side unprotected like tombstone in a pile of tacks. So we're gonna give him 1 audience point back.
Awesome. So what's the final call that is made by the ranger as the finish happens?
My goodness, the pikeman is setting up the, what you call your move again? The London drop?
The London broil.
The London broil. Is he gonna hit it? Oh my god. There's blood everywhere. If you didn't spend that momentum, I was gonna put you over too.
All right. The 1, 2, 3 is counted. And it is the pikeman's hand that is raised over the bloodied body of his opponent, who the crowd has a little bit of respect for taking such a dangerous spot. They haven't completely given up on this wrestler who seems somewhat familiar to some of the very dedicated fans, but they haven't quite put their finger on where have they seen him? What indie tape did they watch where he showed up? So I think with that, let's take just like a 5-minute bio break, and then we will enter into kind of like the last little segments of our show. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us here for Worldwide Wrestling. We are just about at the midpoint of the wrestling show that we are simulating here. We just saw a excellent bout, a hardcore match. I think the first ever Pike versus hard thumbtacks match that has ever pillowcase pillowcase of surprises, the piñata. And it was Frugal Dougal, the pikeman, who won that contest and has earned himself a full-time contract that comes with a tuition reimbursement for the UW-Madison campus, select majors only. And so you're going to be able to report back to your parents that things are going pretty well as far as that bill coming due every semester. But unfortunately, things didn't shake up so well for Grimes, the hardcore hero, the former field hockey player. But reputation may be still intact after it was a memorable finish to the match. As we come back from commercial break, there is a vignette that replays of a couple of characters that have been showing up on WTF television recently. We see a video package that is just a bunch of segments from this tag team called the Graduates, who have been pretty much interfering in a lot of matches, generally talking bad about Nikki, and sort of proclaiming that they feel that they could run and book the show much better than she could. We get a little bit of context from the commentary. The graduates are made up of 2 characters who are played by former alumni of UW-Madison. We've got Danny Masters. He's an NBA who has returned to WTF with claims that he could run the promotion better than Nikki. And he is joined by his tag team partner, Legal Larry, who is the legal counsel of WTF and has a list of moves and holds that he claims to have trademarks on. And so a lot of his run-ins have dealt with preventing wrestlers from doing particular moves before they pay some bit of money to the graduates. So the 2 of them, after this vignette, make their way down to the ring and grab the mic. The crowd is booing them. We know that they are definitely heels. And Danny says, "Ladies and gentlemen," he's built, he's in his wrestling trunks, big money sign on the back. He's maybe, he's pretty well built, probably about 6'4" or so. He's just got kind of a very deep, kind of intimidating, booming voice. And he says, "I stand here before you not just as a wrestler, but as a businessman. And the mismanagement I see around here absolutely disgusts me. Nikki, it takes more than tweets and Snapchat filters to run a wrestling promotion. It takes blood, sweat, and tears, as the 2 of us have shown time and time again. Tell him, Larry." And then Larry is definitely the more diminutive of the 2. He's got more of the maybe Young Bucks physique. And he's wearing kind of a wrestling like leotard that kind of looks like a business suit, but sleeveless. And he says, "Nikki, we're putting you on notice, Nikki. Graduates are here and we're about to school you about pro wrestling. Put on your big girl pants and get out here. We're going to teach you a lesson you can't afford to miss." And then Nikki's music plays and she oops her way down to the ring and she grabs the mic and she says, "Danny, Larry, it's cute that you think that your fancy degrees could help you run a wrestling promotion. But you're not qualified to manage a Target, let alone WTF Promotions. I'm not here to play school time with the 2 of you, but if you guys want to teach lessons, I've got 2 guys for you. You see, I'm all about giving second chances, and so tonight in this very ring, we're going to see Grimes back in action with his former tag team partner, the Ranger. The 2 of them are going to reunite, and if together they can put aside their past differences and beat the 2 of you jerks, I'm going to give them both a contract. If the 2 of you can beat them, then I will put my ego aside and I will give you the book and let you run the show for 1 month. And if the 2 of you can turn this thing around and show that our metrics are growing, maybe we'll see. Maybe we can have an open talk about the future of WTF. But until then, let's bring out the competitors and let's see this next contest." And so with that, poor Danny puts down the camera again, runs over, grabs the mic, and shoos Nikki out. And he says, "Pay me more," under his breath. Mike picks it up a little bit as he introduces the Ranger. And I believe we've got an opening theme for him.
Oh, man.
You don't gotta play it if you don't wanna.
Oh, we have to.
Gotta get
Okay.
entrance music.
Danny says, "Hailing from Tombstone, Arizona, weighing in at 180 pounds. He was just out here doing my job for me on commentary. He is Tom Kendall, the Ranger." And what do we see, Dawson, coming out from the back?
Coming out is, as you described, 180-pound, 5'8", not a very tall guy, but he's pretty well built, but equivalent to wrestlers such as Pax. Small guy, but he is pretty decently built. Wearing his signature blackened trench coat or duster, and a good big old 5-gallon hat, also in the black physique. Coming down at a slow pace, just eyeballing competition that's before him, before he slowly starts to walk up. And from the position just before the ring, just hops up right on the mat, doesn't even use the steps, boosts himself right over the top rope, and just gets into a stare down. He's ready to go.
Danny just gives you a nod and says, "Welcome back." And as your music comes to a pause, he grabs the mic once again and he says, "Making his way, presumably from the medical doctors in the back, he just wrestled literally 15 minutes ago. Welcome back to the ring, the hardcore..." I don't know what he would say. Legend doesn't seem fitting. Maybe it's legend, the hardcore legend, Grimes. And what do we see coming out from the back?
So Grimes has elected to leave at least some of the thumbtacks still in his forehead that are kind of like loosely there, and then some like on the back of his arms from the whole rolling pin incident. And he's coming out. He's still got a smile on his face. He's not flipping anybody off, but he's a little bit more methodical in his walk down to the ring this time, because of the weight of the history of seeing the Ranger again, and then just knowing that, like, okay, this is for the contract, so here we go. And doesn't belabor the point, but also isn't like briskly walking. So climbs the stairs, stands inside the ring, just inside the turnbuckle, and gives a "what's up" nod to the Ranger, and then just eyes up the two jabronis across the ring.
So while this is playing out, we still hear the entrance theme for Grimes playing for the second time this evening. Backstage, what is going on with Pikeman after his victory?
As far as like the character of the Pikeman, what's happening back there?
Maybe maybe not the character necessarily, but the what's his actual name? It was I don't know if he had a real name. Or maybe Frugal Dougal is his real name.
Yeah, we'll say his last name was Frugal Dougal. I'd say Frugal Dougal is just like, you would hear him kind of say, "Good luck out there." What, Grimes, what would be your name?
Let's say, oh man, Grimes would have like Zach, like this weird preppy name that like he disavows now, but his first name's Zach. Yeah,
Zach. And like he might be like, even though you're younger than you, but he's like, his body has been through. Don't try so hard out there, Zach. You'll do okay. Just take your time out there. Take a breath every once in a while.
All right. So the in-ring action, we've got these two tag teams squared up. It would appear that Danny Masters is going to start for their side. Who amongst you will be the first in the ring?
And how are you feeling? Took a
I'm always ready.
You're always ready. That was one shit performance, if you ask me. pillowcase. You still haven't got past it.
Well, one of us got booked twice tonight. So you tell me who's doing better.
You know what? Great comment. I'll go first.
All right.
Alright.
So we are going to be starting out with the Ranger in the ring. So there is another move that you can do in this match because it is a tag team match. When you're in a tag team match, you can do the following. If you make a hot tag to your partner to bring them into the match at a critical moment, roll plus heat with them. They gain that result of the wrestling move. And they retain control and gain momentum. Choose whether to gain momentum or retain control or botch. Whatever the results of the wrestling move would be. Also, you can abandon the team by spending 2 momentum and describing how you leave your partner to the mercy of the other team. This books your team to lose the match and you gain +1 heat with each other. So, match begins. We're going to start it off with Dawson controlling the action.
Start off, he would remove his 5-gallon hat, take off the coat, and throw it to the side of the ring. And then this guy is like so much bigger than me, right? This guy's like 6'4", you said?
Yeah, he's like a pretty tall, jacked guy. Like he's got the classic wrestler physique.
Mm-hmm. So what he would begin to do, he's gonna try to perform a wrestling move to start, and just start by going for like the good old Greco-Roman start, where left hand comes up, and let's see if the hands meet. But
Yep.
just before his hand meets, he's gonna go for a quick sweep of the leg and knock him on the ground already.
Okay, roll a work.
That is a 9. 6 plus 3.
All right, so you lock up and you do a sweep of the leg. Well, I guess I'll have you make the choice first. You get to choose whether to hand control the match to your opponent and gain +1 momentum or retain control of the match.
I will still keep in control.
Okay, so you do a sweep of the legs. He falls back, but he like very quickly does a kip up. Applause from the crowd, and then you're back opposed to one another. Kind of a slow pace at the beginning.
He's gonna then try to meet up with him as he gets up, grab him, start throwing him into the ropes to try to do one of those leapfrog techniques, try and trip him up as he's going through, using his smaller size and quicker physique to his advantage.
Ooh, all right. Do another work.
That is a 10 plus 3, 13.
13. The crowd pops because nobody ever gets tripped up by this. You throw yourself to the mat as you do the Irish whip. He comes rolling and he actually does tumble and trip. And the crowd both claps and there is some obvious jeering. Even Larry from his corner is just like, "What the hell, Masters? What are you doing out there? You look like a turd."
Forsooth.
Crowd starts chanting turd. So with that, you nail the spot, you retain control, and you gain +1 momentum.
Excellent. As he's on the ground, I'm going to start going for a submission maneuver, trying to lock up the arm. Try and get like, kind of wrap my left arm around his head, my right arm coming, bringing that arm back, start trying to wrench it out a little bit, start wearing him down.
Sounds good. Maybe try rolling a body on this one, just due to the size difference.
You got it. +0. 12.
12. So you nail it, and he's selling it. He's wincing in pain as you put him in the hold. You get another momentum, and he's like crying out, "Uncle, Uncle!" And Larry's like, take me in, Masters. And you've got him held as he's like in the middle of the ring, but he's like kind of reaching out to his tag team partner.
As I continue to press the hold on him, I'm going to start slowly skirting myself to the corner, kind of freeing my other hand off, trying to get my partner in, go for a tag.
All right, you go for a tag, and control then goes to Joe for Grimes.
All right. So you've got him in a hold, right?
Mm-hmm. Tagging you in.
Yeah. So Ranger's gonna keep that hold going, and then I'm gonna. There's that big burly ref, right?
Yep.
And he's still here. So I'm gonna run past the whole thing that's happening with the hold, and I'm gonna like run into the ropes to like knock the other guy down with an elbow and try and get the ref over to me so that I can run over and grab some of the tacks and like slam them into the guy's arm before like grabbing the hold myself.
Okay. Let's see.
Is that too much? Should I just do the like elbow first against the guy that's outside the ring?
What do you think is like the pivotal spot is working the ref?
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
You're kind of trying to get the ref distracted so that you can use your move.
I think that's accurate.
Do you have something on the hardcore? Does he have anything related to like bringing in a weapon?
No, I can spend a momentum to add the hardcore stipulation move to any match you're booked in. No
Okay.
DQ, no countouts, weapons allowed.
Let's do just do a work.
Okay. 4.
A 4. So, as you go to do this, you maybe didn't communicate it quite right with the ref, and so you just kind of like bounce off of his body, and he gets in between you and the hold that is happening in the middle of the ring, and he's like kind of under his breath, kind of reprimanding you. He's like, "What are you thinking? That's gonna look terrible. You're not gonna be able to knock me over. What are you doing? Nobody does that here. We don't do that shit here." And as you're doing that, you know, the move that Dawson's character, the Ranger, had set up has just been going on for so long, and he was like getting ready to release it because he had just tagged you in. There's just like, it was like a total, like you're all just kind of like standing there at the end of it, kind of like staring at each other because like nothing went right with that spot. So you're going to lose.
Oh wait. Can I use the player reroll that we got from?
Yes, sure. Yeah, there was a player reroll that was
whoever.
redeemed earlier, so go ahead and reroll that.
Those are big rerolls, especially in this.
Okay.
I believe in you.
And I want to so I'm not trying to hit the ref over. I want to try and knock over the opposing partner who's not active in the match to try and get the ref's attention into that corner to like check on him.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
my hope.
Okay.
8.
Okay. So you manage to like as it's happening, clearly like there's like a moment of miscommunication here, but then you go to grab Masters and you Irish whip him into the opposite corner. And so you are you will retain control of the match. You can either hand control the match to your opponent and gain +1 momentum, or retain control of the match.
I will retain.
Okay. So you Irish whip him over into the corner. The ref does seem to like go over there to go and check on him, but a tag is made, and Larry is now in the ring.
Okay.
So fresh opponent now, and you're not in an advantageous spot in terms of the storytelling of the match.
Sure. Okay. Meaning that I've lost control.
No, just
Or
the context is not that you're
Yeah.
dealing with a wounded Masters, but you got the fresh
Right,
opponent
right. I
is in
gotcha.
now.
Okay. So I'm picturing that like the guy who made the tag like slipped under then, and the other guy like slipped in and is coming at me. So I'm gonna try and do like a drop toe trip kind of thing. To
Sure.
Get him to use his momentum to fall down.
Go ahead and do a work.
8.
An 8. So you can either hand control of the match to the opponent or gain +1 momentum. Or I'm sorry, you can hand control of the match to your opponent and gain +1 momentum, or retain control.
I will retain control once again. He's gonna pop up again, and I'm gonna do one more of those drop toe holds, but to get him to land on the ropes, almost like a prep for a 619 kind of situation.
Sure. Go ahead and do the move again.
8 again.
All right. You got him prepped up. He drops and he falls.
So I'm gonna hand off control and gain a momentum.
All right. Just as he drops, Masters has managed to slither his way to the other side and pulls his friend to the outside of the ring. And the two of them start to conspire a bit. Like, they're doing like the setup, like, we don't need this. We don't need this. Why are we dealing with these two jabronis? And they're kind of motioning that they are going to hit the gym and abandon the match. And that is the point in time when the ref is going to jump to the outside, and he just like grabs Larry and just manhandles him and then rolls him into the ring. Larry is now there with you, Hardcore, and it seems that he's looking at your bloodied body, and he starts to psych himself up. He goes and he takes a run at you, locks arms with you, grabs you, Irish whip to the ropes, and as you spin, or you come flying back towards him, he does like a tilt-a-whirl break, backbreaker. And so, I'm not super clear on how to do the, because they don't give stats to the non-player wrestlers, but I think you're just supposed to do straight rolls.
Sure.
I don't know exactly,
Okay.
but he manages to pull off the move, and you drop and you fall to the ground, and the crowd is jeering and booing, and he just starts to do a number of, like, he's just spamming elbow drops on your face, and then he goes to try to do some heel work with the crowd, and he starts to say, "You guys know who this guy is? He's a devil worshiper. That's who he is. You probably seen him on VHS. That's how old he is. That's how crap his work is. throws in another elbow drop, and then he decides to go for a high flying maneuver. So he goes to the top rope.
I'd like to interrupt.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So I use a momentum. So he's gonna climb up, and is this the Young Bucks looking dude?
yeah, he's the thinner guy. Like, he's getting up. His back is turned as he's climbing the ropes. He's not even looking back, but he's just like, he's playing with the audience, and he's doing some hip gyrations. It looks like maybe he's about to do like a moonsault.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. So he's gonna do a moonsault, and while I'm laying down on the ground, I'm like pulling some tacks out of my arm and like putting them on the mat where my body is, and as he's in the air for the moonsault, I'm gonna roll out of the way with the tacks still there, for him to land on those.
All right, so you gain control of the match. Why don't you do a work?
Okay.
A wrestling.
Okay. So I got a 5, but I'm gonna burn all 3 of my or not all 3. Sorry, I'm gonna burn 2 to make it a 7.
All right. So he goes flying and he drops onto the tacks, and he goes, "Oh, that just made my nipples really hard." And he's just holding himself. There's tacks just all over his chest. Oh! He's rolling around. You still have control.
So then I'm gonna, if he's rolling around, I'm gonna do a hot tag, to pull in the Ranger.
All right. Are you using the hot tag move?
I think so. So like, what do I?
What's your heat?
Am I describing? Yeah. So am I
That's the
describing the whole exchange with this, or it says roll heat with them? They gain the result of the wrestling move.
I think you get to. I'd say you can kind of play it however, but I would say you get to do the roll. There'd be a we'll say a work with plus your heat with
plus my heat. Yep.
him. So then you can make that roll and then maybe offer it to Dawson to narrate the results of what you roll.
Okay, sure. I got you. Okay. So that's a 10.
All right. So that will end up being crowd pops as we see the Ranger get tagged in. You gain, Dawson, +1 momentum.
Oh, you see, like, he's fired up. He's ready to go. He's high on momentum right now. I assume big guy is back in the corner of the ring.
Yeah, the big guy's back in the corner. He's reaching in, trying to get a tag to his smaller partner who's in the middle of the ring, covering his bloodied nipples that are stuck with tacks.
We can't have him trying to be taken in now, so he's gonna pretty much burst into the ring at full sprints, and with that speed, launch off Larry, and going straight for a drop kick to the guy in the corner. Just knock him off.
Okay. Do a work.
That is a 7 + 3, 10.
10. Okay. So you gain another momentum. And he goes flying. Masters hits his mouth on the barricade, and you can see like he's chewing some gum to make it look like his tooth went flying into the crowd. He's laid out. This is where the finish happens. So go ahead and roll your finishing move. This match is booked for both the Ranger and Grimes to win.
All right. I'm going to pull off my finishing move known as the Big Iron. And since I am a technician, I can add my work to my roll. That is also a 10.
Awesome. So the big iron goes off without a hitch. He's writhing in pain, squinting in pain as the 1, 2, 3 is counted. The crowd cheers. Even though you both work, he as heals, you're getting a face reaction here in this particular situation. Nikki, from the back, comes out with a mic congratulating you both on your new contracts and your tuition discount that you will be receiving for select classes at UW-Madison.
Yes.
The heels both master, the graduates, as they are known, licking their wounds. They both crowd in together, cursing you as they walk their way back to the backstage, and your arms are held high throughout your victory here.
Dawson, with your finishing move, do you have like a boon for hitting a 10 plus?
When you hit your finisher clean on a 10 plus, you gain +1 audience.
Ooh,
Okay.
you get +1 audience.
Mine says choose whether you or your opponent gains +1. It's just I wanted to see if it was different per gimmick.
Yeah,
or if it was the
mine
same.
mine is I get to do my sub for my opponent.
Okay. Sorry. Continue.
So anything that either of you are doing as you are reveling in your victory?
I'd say, as our hands are being raised high, just ever so slightly, there's a slight just look of almost disdain. Not like loathing, but little something that would make it look like still not truly on board with it. Kind of they were still going against each other in that match, even though they're on the same team.
Sort of that tentative, we are friends of convenience at this moment.
Yep.
It earned our way into this promotion, but we're not a real tag team. Not chasing the belts or anything like that.
That kind of feeling. We got the job done.
Awesome. With that, there is one last match that occurs that doesn't involve any of your characters unless you do something. But there is a number one contender match for the WTF Championship that occurs. This match is between the Muse, Mel Serenade, who is a fan favorite. Their gimmick is they've got sort of it's almost like a Statlander gimmick where they're sort of alien-like, very bright face paint and streamers. Their in-ring style is sort of a blend of Taekwondo and interpretive dance. Like it's really kind of like a bizarre style, and that is what really endears them to the crowd. And they face off against some character that doesn't matter because they'll be forgotten, and it is the Muse that is the highlight and ends up winning the number one contendership for the WTF Championship. And we go off air with Danny explaining that next week there is going to be, of course, this championship match will happen, but next week there's going to be an opportunity to earn a spot against the winner of that match, and it is going to be in a big battle royale that will include all of the new recruits that were hired on tonight. And so we're going to have a Royal Rumble themed match that will kick off the show next week.
Nice. Forsooth.
So that was our first attempt at playing Worldwide Wrestling. It'll of course come I think, better once we get more familiar with what is this game. And it's not, as you can see at this point, a hard and fast, crunchy rule system. It is more just facilitated improv for the most part. So, what did you guys think?
There's actually
at the
more
start,
stuff. Oh, go ahead, Doc.
I'd say at the start of it for me, super intimidating because I was just like reading through the rule book and I was like, oh my goodness, this is just supposed to be a make it up as you go thing, and there's like, I mean, rules on rules on rules, but then like slowly like breaking it apart into little pieces and slowly working through it, it becomes a lot more easier and manageable to understand.
Yeah, just for
Yeah,
context, if anyone's
Like what?
curious,
270 something pages.
I think so. 259 pages.
It's big.
What were I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I was gonna say, like, it was more than I initially thought when it was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Fiasco. And it is, but yeah, seeing that, and I was super overwhelmed, and then you told me like, don't worry about it, just pick your gimmick and that's all you need to worry about. So came in with that, and I feel like now, like you had said, Isaac, I think we can go into this rulebook now and have more context to be able to like parse it. And I feel like the rulebook is like, here are all these different things you could do, but you're probably only going to do like 5 per session. Like, it's accounting for all these different possibilities. That's at least how I imagine it. And the reference sheet that we have is like, yeah, you might do one of these in this episode, and that's really about it. So now I'm really curious to see like what some of these like maneuver sequences are describing. So I'm curious about that to try and make that part of the storytelling even more fluid.
So are you talking about like the 1, 2, 3 thing at the bottom?
Yes, kind of, where it's like, okay, so there's like the international to start a match or reset the action. There's the lockup, and then yep, exactly, the 1, 2, 3. Yes.
So
yes.
basically what that is, I didn't really want to like role model it at the time that you asked me, but like, remember you asked me the question, like, can we like talk or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's kind of what that is. So it's like,
okay,
you and me are in a match together, and I set it up. So they kind of do it. I think Fiasco has a similar thing where it's like, okay, I've got my 2 dice. This represents me talking. And now I'm going to pass it to you. Now you put in your bit, and then I close it out by explaining the finish, and then we roll. Yeah.
Okay.
So then you can do that to set up kind of an improv
That's
loop
cool.
for the roll.
Yeah.
So it's not
That's interesting.
So it's always we'll probably use that like all the time in the next one. And so it's all about who has narrative control, who's saying I want to share control, and then who wants to give that up. So then you know, like the design element of the game is just who's got the talking pillow or who's got the talking stick.
Yeah.
And you pass it around.
Yeah. Isaac, what did you think?
I thought it was a lot of fun. The more we got into it, the funner it gets. I would say that it is fun as much as you want your character to do well and succeed. I see that just like actual wrestling, right? In order for the match and the fun to happen, it seems like there's a bit of like cooperation that is like exactly how it is, where you're talking under your breath at each other, trying to make it work so that overall the entire, because I mean, we're not only doing it for ourselves, but we're trying to get the promotion, right? Like we're trying to make the promotion more appealing and like larger, right? Like we're trying to make that succeed as well. So I would feel by like cooperatively losing or winning, I feel like it's more of like a co-op rather than like a PvP type of thing. So I enjoy that.
So at the conclusion of our session, we got to take a look at some numbers. Let's see. Do I have the total audience correct in that Isaac, your character ended with 3, Dawson, did you end with 2, and Joe, you ended with 1?
Correct.
Yes.
Perfect. So we end with a total of 6 audience. So the promotion for this event is not going to grow at all, which is totally fine with the narrative that we've set up, is that it's still in its infancy. And that's part of the narrative, I think, going forward. We're going to be doing this for like a very short run of episodes. Maybe, I'm thinking probably 3. I could see it going to 4, but somewhere in there. And part of it is, will the promotion grow as a result of the wrestling personas and characters that come into it? Will any of them obtain the WTF championship at some point and become the top face or heel? Who knows? Maybe we'll see a tag team form or a faction. You know, like from this point, we did like the opening kind of learn to play, and from here it's going to be like, I'm going to book the events kind of going forward similarly to how I did tonight, but you're going to have like a lot more like, I would like to cut a promo, or I would like to interfere in this match, or like any of the tropes that you can think of for pro wrestling, you know, they can be inserted or injected, and we'll see how the story kind of plays out from there. At the conclusion, we don't have anybody with 0 audience, so nobody got fired. Somebody had an advance, right?
Yep, I have an advance.
So you've got 1 banked advance.
I think I already know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm gonna read a bit more before I do that.
So with the audience number that we have now, that's where we start next episode.
Let's say yes for now. I have to remember how that works. It says it start and reset to a certain number, but I just have to look for, it might be different for the type of play that we are doing. So
Okay.
we'll look into it. Dawson, can you think of anything that we need to resolve at the end?
I guess just check your advancement stuff to see if you meet anything that would satisfy those conditions. Like for me, I didn't follow the 0 audience. I didn't take top spot.
Who ended up being top spot?
I think top spot's audience based.
Nobody has it quite yet.
Okay.
Nobody wins.
Would you consider this? You win a big match specifically via superior technique. That's one of my stipulations.
Let's hold off on them. Let's like say like starting next time you'll start to earn your wants.
Oh, and every time you work a match with someone you have 4 heat with, you gain an audience.
Nobody has 4 heat with anybody else, right?
Not yet.
No.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Cool. I think that is going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us and watching. We'll be doing this again next week, and pretty much for Mondays through July is kind of the idea. Let's see if we have anybody we could raid here tonight. Is it an 80s dance party night?
Gotta be. It's Monday.
It's Monday night. You know what that means?
That means
We raid East Dance Party. Because nobody's playing D&D anymore at 11:09 the night before 4th of July. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Good night.
Bye.